I'm very excited to have you here and to start this office hour about Apple Ads campaigns in automation. I'm here with Benoit, and before we explain a bit what will be the topics we cover during this hour, we can maybe quickly introduce ourselves. So on my end, my name is Flo. I'm a product manager at AppTweak. I've been working at AppTweak for the past 6 years now. I started 2 years as an app growth consultant, working with AppTweak main clients to really help them with their ASO and search ads work. And then I switched to product management. So I was in charge of the ASO side of AppTweak, and now since 2 years, I'm in charge of our new campaign manager product. So it would be a pleasure for me today to show you all the features we have that relate to automation and Apple Ads.
And hi everyone, I'm Benoit. I'm a senior data scientist at AppTweak. I've joined AppTweak 4 years ago now. Initially starting more on our AI features that you might be familiar with if you know the platform already. So like I'm talking about Atlas AI, download estimates, app DNA and game DNA. But lately focusing a bit more, a lot more actually, on Apple Ads. Specifically talking a lot to clients, which means sometimes running app scan or audits to have a look at the state of campaigns, trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And with all of those learnings, the goal here is to show how automation can actually help more concretely with clients. Some of you might be familiar with me also because I already did a similar webinar when it was more like oriented towards tips and tricks. But yeah, this time I'm back to focus more on the automation side of things.
Thanks, Benoit, for your help on this. So first, I wanted to start by explaining you why we created this office hour on automation. You maybe don't know how to get started, or what you should monitor, which tools you should use. Having to manage all these campaigns and apps and keywords can be very, very difficult actually. So that's why we thought, okay, let's just take some time today to share a few tips, to show you real use cases that we faced by helping on clients in the past, and showing you how basically AppTweak can help you. We came up with lots of different features over time. One of them is to use some automation rules. So we'll show you how you can use different templates, presets, or even custom rules to help you automate your Apple Ads campaigns. And these rules can be quite basic or more advanced. We'd like during this session to really each time go from the more beginners rules and going more advanced as for each topic. So we hope that whatever is your level with Apple Ads, you will be able to get something out of this office hour. But now maybe Benoit, I wanted to ask you how all these features they relate to what you experienced when you worked with some clients. If you could share maybe more insights about today's agendas and explaining us a bit how we want to tackle these different issues.
So yeah, as Florentin was saying, we've developed lots and lots of features around automation. So it was kind of a challenge to find a structure to have a proper webinar. But the idea we came up with is that actually by doing all of these app scans, we came across different types of UA manager. So I guess we'll start with the UA manager that has a really hands-on approach. That might be when you have an app that is only running in a single country. If it's an app that has a high revenue where Apple Ads is really a major channel, you might have one, if not several, UA managers dedicated full-time to do the Apple campaign. So this is where we're going to start. What can automation bring to this persona? Then we'll talk a bit more about automation when it's in the idea of having a fully hands-free experience. And finally, this is what I think a lot of people will be interested in. Automation for scaling. I know that scaling is the name of the game in Apple Ads, so we'll have a bit of time to discuss that, and then we'll keep some time for the Q&A. But I guess then we can start with the first section, which is going to be regarding automation for a more hands-on approach for UA managers that really takes some time to.
About that one, where I was wondering if to get into it like in a practical way. Let's imagine I'm just a new Apple Ads user. It's the first time I created. I'm handling a campaign, and I'd like to know what should be the first tip you would give me to get started. What should I do?
I mean, it would depend on what you do, but if once again I go back to the experience that we've had running this kind of scans, it's really likely that you make a mistake. That is a really common mistake for beginners, is to have your campaigns running out of money at some point during the day. If the spend of your campaign is equal to the daily budget of the campaign, it means that this is what we call saturation. It means that at some point during the day, your ad is not being displayed anymore, which obviously is a bad thing. So the first thing I would advise you, if you are a new AppTweak user and a UA manager, is to use one of the presets that we've created. But I guess you can, of course, walk us through that.
Yeah. No, indeed. So to show that in the tool directly, well, I can simply show you here that you're in AppTweak in the Apple Ads and Campaign Manager section. We have this automation section that we will really focus on today with custom rules and smart bidding. And in custom rules, you can see all the rules you've already created, but you can also create new ones. So for instance, to illustrate what Benoit just explained, you have these templates right here that you will also find when you create a new rule. And the one you just mentioned was to track campaign budget saturation, right? So you simply have to click on it, click on next to trigger the rule creation. And then you will see that you can set some actions and some conditions for a campaign. And here, the idea is that to get started, you don't want to change any bids, you don't want to update your budgets, or basically just want to monitor something. So it's really a risk-free approach. And in that case, the goal is just to monitor if your spend is higher than your daily budget, because that's something you want to know, right? There's a sign that you should probably do something about it. So that's the first rule. And basically, once it's created, you can simply, I think I might have some connection issues. Can you
This is your classic webinar experience.
Always the same, right?
While you're working on your connection, I can take over. But basically, what Flo was about to show is that this really simple rule that is already pre-filled. You just compare the spend to the budget. If the spend is higher than the budget, you can assign it to any campaign you want, and you will be able to track if you are hitting your daily cap. You can even toggle the notification bell so that you can even receive an email. If you're not logging into AppTweak actively, you will still receive via email a notification that your campaign is hitting its daily budget. So I guess this is, in my opinion, the easiest way you could start with automation. And as Florentin mentioned, it's a totally risk-free approach. You can just plug this rule to any campaign and be notified when you hit your daily budget cap. The next thing that you might want to do, once you have this set up, it's been maybe a while that you have received these kind of notifications, you may want to actually take actions. What type of action can you take? Is Florentin back?
Yeah, I'm back. I don't know what happened, but let's try to make it work this time. So yeah, to summarize, so first rule, very simple. You track your campaign's budgets, and that's it. You just let it run. But then Benoit was explaining, okay, what if you want to go beyond that and maybe start like adding a bit more complexity to that rule, right? So to do that, if I simply create a new rule, track campaign budget saturation, you can add more conditions or choose a different action. So for instance, if you don't want to monitor your activity, but you want to change your budgets, that's an option. Maybe you want, if you're saturated, you want to increase your daily budget by a certain amount, right? For instance, you might want to increase your budget by 10% until it reaches this amount. Or maybe you want to check some conditions, but also add extra conditions. I don't know if you gave anything specific, Benoit, but maybe you could look at not only the spends, but the metric like the average CPA. So you want to increase your budgets only if your cost per acquisition is lower than a certain threshold, for example, lower than €5, right? So that's another option, slightly more advanced than the previous one. You can really build on the presets that you can select at the beginning, and you can really build some custom conditions and actions like this. The name here is quite long, but that's something you can easily change. And maybe to explain the full flow here, when you click next, you can choose specific days and specific hours. You can schedule the rule or start it immediately. And you can also assign the rule directly within that flow. So for instance, I might want to say, okay, I want to apply that rule to my competitor campaign, clicking on next, reviewing all the rule here. And when I click on confirm, that's it. The rule appears right there. Something interesting to note here as well is that if you want to receive an email every day or every week, you can activate this in this table right here. And if you want to monitor then all the changes and if the conditions was met for your rules, you can head to the monitoring section to the top right, or you can also go to activity feeds to really see all the changes that were done over time for your campaign, ad groups, and keywords. So that's really the basics to get started. To get started, creating a new rule, using the templates, monitoring them. Now, I was wondering, Benoit, that okay, we explain everything, all these rules, but each time run with search ads and Apple ads events and metrics. But we heard that in some cases, many users want to automate based on in-app events, right? From MMPs such as AppFlyer, Adjust, Branch, and Singular. So what was your experience with these requests, and what would you recommend in that regard?
Yeah. So yeah, indeed, like this is where, as we told you, that we were gonna start from beginners to more advanced. As soon as you add MMP to the mix, we're talking more to the advanced Apple Ads users. And indeed, for some of you in the audience, just having rules based on the cost per acquisition or tap-through rate is not going to cut it. You want to have rules that will look at the actual business impact of your decisions and then update your bids accordingly. Actually, this is what we did for SoundCloud. So hopefully, I don't know if the errors that we had previously is going to prevent us from doing so. But hopefully we're going to be able to show you, because SoundCloud, they are really, really nice people, and they allowed us to share their automation rules so that we can walk you through what an actual automation rule that is MMP based will look like in AppTweak. So what do you want to do when you create an MMP automation rule? You want to select maybe you have an event that brings some value to you. So let's say for SoundCloud, that is the amount of a track being liked. So SoundCloud is a music streaming service. So it's really important to them if a track is liked. Then they want to be able to take actions whether or not the track is liked. So maybe Florentin can also help us walk you through that. So let's add the first condition. We'll talk about the action later on, but if we want to talk conditions here, so they are using AppFlyer. So if we go to AppFlyer, we can first have a look at so in custom events, we can select the event of a track being liked. And then this is where the advanced part comes in, is that you have several ways to look at an event. So here, maybe you want to only count the unique users that have liked the track. And maybe you also want to have a look at the core period of 1 day. So you want users to like a track within 1 day. If they do it after that, it wouldn't count. And that makes sense. You want maybe to activate users quickly. You could look at that for the last week. Usually it's good to look at events on a weekly basis, because it means that you're going to have more events. So you have much lower noise and you can take more educated decisions. The simple way to do that would be just like, firstly, to compare to a number and say if it's greater than 20. But we are talking about advanced stuff now. So what we would do is actually compare to another MMP metric. What we're going to do is that we actually are going to compare to the same metric. So it could be, once again, the custom event, the unique users on the core period of 1 day. But then we can switch to a different date range. So rather than last 7 days, we can use a custom date range where we're going to compare from last 14 days to last 7 days. So here we have a system that is able to compare for any keyword that we have on our Apple Ads campaign, the amount of unique users liking a track in the last week compared to unique users liking a track in the week before. Then it's just a matter of plugging the right coefficient, and maybe I want to be notified if I have like only half of what I had the week before, I can just plug the coefficient 0.5 and switch the comparison sign the other way around. This would give me a system that is able to detect automatically if the amount of activity in my app is lower than it should be for that keyword. But that's not all. Like, this is just the first step. What you would also want to do is maybe only apply this rule to words that are big enough. This is where we can add other conditions. We can add a condition that the spend of the keyword is larger than, I don't know, let's say 10 euros, might be more, might be less. You get the point. So yeah, just whatever the amount here. A last point, and this is really, really important when we're talking about advanced use cases, is that you may want to know whether this was a keyword that had its bid edited recently or not. Because if anyone, whether it's me or another automation, changed the bid on that keyword, then it makes sense that the performance on that keyword is not the same. So if 3 days ago I changed something, yeah, maybe I have fewer tracks liked. This is not what I'm looking for. So I'm going to add a condition that the days since the last bid update is greater than, let's say, maybe 14 days. So that in the date range I'm considering, I'm sure that there is no external action. And it's really something that the users downloading the app are behaving differently than they were doing the week before. The last step maybe would be to not only take a monitoring action, but change the bid. So you can always change the bid and set it to something lower than it was. And then also still turn on the notification. So the notification, you will receive it by mail. You know that you have to look at something. There is an action that is taken like preemptively, but you can also then go back, have a look, and update it. So that's kind of a lot, but that's the idea, the design behind this automation framework, is that you can do really, really complex stuff. And any idea that you can have in mind, like, oh, I want to detect if I have fewer likes, tracks that are liked than before, you can actually take a bit of time. And as you see, it's just a matter of a minute or two, and you have something that's actually running, and that will enable you to detect if your performance is dropping.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Benoit. That's really very insightful. And indeed, I think it can be really useful to know that you can either just apply some monitoring rules or tweaking them and adding more conditions to it, either just with Apple Ads data or with MMP data. So that's really nice, and that's a good introduction for our next section, because so here we already covered all these ways to help you with daily tasks. And by the way, just a quick note about here, we will share the slides at the end of this session, so you will receive them. I will not go over each slide individually, but that's something that you will receive at the end. So now we'd like to explore our second section, automation to manage campaigns for you. So about that one, Benoit, which user profiles do we target? Like who could really benefit from the features and the solutions we will present?
So for this one, I mean, it does apply to many different profiles, but the main one is going to be the UA manager that's running out of time. Why would he or she run out of time? Maybe because you have many markets. So we're talking here about apps that may be running in like 100 different countries, especially with Apple Ads now being available in even more countries than it used to. Let's say you just follow the regular structure of having generic, brand, competitor, and discovery. Not even talking about the display placement here. So only search results in like 50 countries, you're already looking at 200 campaigns. So now the manual approach and keeping everything under control is going to be tough. You will need automation to do, if not some things for you, maybe everything for you, which is the other type of persona. It might be a persona that Apple Ads is not that big of a channel for them. It's still important, but not that big. They just want a simple approach, like plug and play. I want to have an automation. Everything is running smoothly, and that's it. So this is the kind of users we're looking at. But then again, you have different types of experience. So you might have some users that are just beginners and want something really simple that works. And then you can have also the advanced users that want to have a proper ROAS optimization. But I guess this is what we are going to work everyone through.
Indeed, thanks. And I guess, yeah, a good way to get started with this one would be to come back to the presets we already mentioned, but we just showed initially the monitoring one that tracks the campaign's budget saturation. Another one we wanted to explain a bit more in details was the decrease or increase bids for high cost keywords or high potential keywords. So for instance, if I open this one, you will see that the goal is you increase your bids by a certain percentage, and you can change the value here based on your own maximum bid amounts. And we will combine several conditions. So for instance, we want to check if your, let's start, we will give slightly more explanations about that like in a few seconds, but you just want to compare your keywords cost per acquisition against the campaign's average. And if it's much lower than your benchmark, then it means maybe there is an opportunity to gain more installs and to increase slightly your bids so that your CPA will be adjusted to your targets. So that's the reasoning behind this first condition over here. Then, as Benoit explained, in the same idea as what we just said a few minutes ago, we can also add on top of that other conditions, such as the amount of taps, to make sure this is not a really low volume and a low, you want to make sure it's relevant keywords, that it has enough taps. You also want to make sure the bids was not updated just like yesterday, because it needs some time to adapt based on your new bids that you set. And you also want to make sure that the impression share maybe is not in the highest tier, because we have other rules for that really specific, that really are specific to the brand keywords that really have impression share. But here the goal is to focus on other keywords that are not in that tier. So that's the goal. And if you combine that rule with the other one, then in the long run, you make sure that you have the right CPA approach without setting a target CPA. It will be based on your own data. So that's the idea. But now, I wanted to also ask you if you could give us a bit more explanations about that robust CPA, because that's an AppTweak thing. It's not, the robust CPA does not exist like this in Atolad. So
actually, so yeah, like whether it's a robust CPA or all the parameters, these rules looks a bit complex. That's because it is, but it's meant to be used as a preset that you can directly plug. And usually this is going to be the first step that you can take if you're logging it for the first time in AppTweak. You want to plug this rule, and this will avoid you of having one keyword that is as a CPA that is crazy high. And how do we have this complexity in this rule? Robust CPA is part of that. One of the errors that I see many people doing is just looking at cost per acquisition of a keyword and taking decisions based on that. But by nature, the cost per acquisition of a keyword can be really, really fluctuating because it's looking at your conversion rates. So on a daily basis, if you only have a few events, so like a few taps, just by random luck, sometimes you will have out of those 5 taps, 5 conversions, and the day after only 3. It will look like your conversion rate is fluctuating a lot. So it will look like your CPA is fluctuating a lot. So it might hit a cap where you increase the bid or lower the bid, but it's just noise. It's not true signal. So this is why we came up with robust CPA, where we have a look at your CPT, which is much more stable. And we look at the entire CVR of the last 30 days of the word, so that we have more events and we can have something a bit smoother. So that's one of the part of the like small intelligence that we had in this rule. Another point, as you mentioned, is to check that the impression share is not that high. It's to check that the bid update is not that high. So these are all things that make sense and that you would do intuitively if you have a manual operation. But we all gather them all into one package so that it's kind of plug and play, and it makes sure that you're not going to have big outliers, as we can sometimes see in poorly managed Apple Ads campaign.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for these insights. This brings us to our second feature we wanted to show among that in that second section, because here, as you can see, this is very manual, and this was done so that you can really keep a maximum control on your rules. You can really decide what will how the bids will be updated. You can specify several conditions. So that's if you know where you want to go, that's an extremely good place. But we also heard from users that sometimes you know what's your desired cost per acquisition, but you don't really know which rules to put in place and how to make these rules. Well, that's something I think you also heard, Benoit, when you worked with some clients, that they wanted something a bit more simple and hands-on.
Yep, exactly. That's the idea, is to get something that's plug and play. So like just to recap a bit more like what we're doing here, the first way we tackle this problem of automation in AppTweak was to be completely transparent. We want to have rules that you can have a look through. You can just see the rule and you can know what's happening, so that you can basically maybe like blame the right condition that you didn't properly set for not taking an action. So have something that's fully transparent. And this is why we have this preset that you can just plug and play. These work, and this is a way to actually have a system that is going to make sure that all your keywords are running at a coherent CPA. But we have some other, we had many requests, and I think this is also part of the question. We have many requests for something that you don't want to even have a look at the conditions. You just trust AppTweak to do the right thing. You maybe just want to plug a target CPA and be able to go where you want it to go. This is where we came up with smart bidding. The point is here, we're not going to go for transparency. We have like an algorithm behind the scenes. We have an AI that is going to do its own thing. The point is to have something that where you just have one parameter to select. You want this campaign to reach this target CPA, and it's going to converge to this.
Exactly. So just below the custom rules sections, you have smart bidding. You just create a new smart bidding rule. You select your app. You select which campaign you want to automate. So if you've already assigned a smart bidding rule to a campaign, then it won't be suggested. It's one rule per campaign. And then, for instance, if I want to apply this to be a generic, here, this is dummy data, but I could say, okay, I want my target to be €5 for that campaign. I add it, and that's it. You will see that the rule, the campaign now is automated. You can see the rule here, when it was created, what was the previous CPA, the current CPA, and how did this evolve, depending on maybe sometimes you want to increase it or lower it, depending on your needs. So that's the idea behind smart bidding. Very simple. You just assign a target to a campaign, and you do nothing else. We take care of the rest in the background. And maybe some last thing we want to add about that, it's really the first step of our smart bidding system. So currently it runs on CPA, an Apple metric only. But we know that many users want that feature to run also on in-app events from their MMP. And of course, we're working on that to deploy this as soon as possible. So that's something on our roadmap, to also have smart bidding for your important in-app events.
Maybe if I want to add on this, like for people in the audience, what I would say, like if you're a beginner and you want something simple, smart bidding is for you. This is the design. If you have your company are running at too large a scale, use smart bidding, you will get a decent CPA, and that's it. If you are more advanced, you want to look at MMP, we are not at that level yet in smart bidding, but I guess this would be a good transition to what we are doing currently to address this kind of issue. If you are looking for something a bit more advanced, then you should go back to the custom rules framework. But the point is that if we go back actually to SoundCloud, you can create a fully automated ROAS smart bidding system. It's just not going to be one plug and play system like we created for smart bidding. It's just that you're going to have to create the rules. But this is something that we can offer support on, so you can really we can help. Actually, all of these rules we created them ourselves for SoundCloud. The rules themselves might look a bit complex, but the idea is that it takes some time to set them up properly. Maybe you will need some time to measure the LTV of each of our events. Maybe you'll take some time to make sure that it's properly tuned. But once you have it, you have a system that is completely ROAS based. And this basically is how we achieved, I don't know, maybe some of you are familiar with our blogs and everything, but we achieved 190% ROAS growth for SoundCloud using this set of rules. But if we want to maybe actually transition to the next part, out of that 190% ROAS growth, this is not only thanks to this kind of automation. A big part of it was thanks to scaling. And I guess this is going to be something that resonates for a lot of people in the audience. I think like something like 90% of people I've ever talked about Apple Ads with are mentioning scaling as an issue. So this is where we went to the drawing boards and we're like, okay, how can we create automation that will fix these kind of issues?
Yeah, no, indeed, because for scaling, I would recommend that you should start with what you already know. You want to find new keywords opportunities, discover new keywords, and then, as Benoit explains, you want to maybe automate that to save some time and make the process more smoother with some automation rules running on search terms. So what you already know, what already exists, this is the search match and broad match settings that Apple provides. So if you can definitely run discovery campaigns with them, and it will really help you to find these keywords. Once they're found, maybe you want to do some actions right with them. Maybe if you have good performance, you'd like to send them to another campaign where your budget is monitored, or you want to add them as negative keywords to other campaigns because that was not a good keyword you want to pose it. So that's something you can also do with automation rules, and I can quickly show you how that works. So for instance, that's quite easy. Again, you go to custom rules, adding a new rule, and when you create that new custom rule, you can choose for which item you want it to be created. So you could create a keywords, add groups, campaigns, or search terms. And in that case, if you create a search term rule, the two actions you can do are just monitoring or transferring these search terms so that they will be pushed to other campaigns, either as normal keywords or as negative keywords. So that's really to have the full flow automated with your discovery campaigns. Here, I won't go too much into the details, but you can really decide if you want them to be sent as exact match, broad match, to a campaign, to an ad group. So that's quite flexible, all the options that are provided over here.
Maybe something to add here, and I think I will not be the only one having had this problem. This used to be a pain to do. So not only we were not only doing like the scans and everything, sometimes we were just managing the campaigns ourselves. I think this process of creating a regular discovery campaigns is kind of known to basically everyone. So you create a campaign, you have broad match, you have search match. What is not as known is the amount of time that it can take to go through all of these search terms and select the bad from the good. And then you need also to take these actions. So once you have search terms that you identified as low performers, maybe you want to set them as negative keywords. If you have a good performer, you want to send it to another campaign, but also set it as negative keywords. It takes some time, but you have to do it because, in my opinion, the worst thing you could do with a discovery campaign is to leave it idle and not take any action. So it's really necessary, but it is also a pain to do it manually. So the entire idea behind this search term automation is to make it completely seamless, and you can just plug an automation that, for instance, if you have a search term on which you appear that has a cost per acquisition above 10 and at least 20 taps, then set it as negative keyword. Mm-hmm. If the cost per acquisition is below 5 and it has at least 20 taps, then start bidding on it in your generic keywords campaign. Mm-hmm. In our opinion, this is one of the elements that will make you scale, because if you only are stuck with the 10 keywords that you already know of, you're never gonna break this barrier of scaling. You need to start finding these new keywords, and Apple Discovery is one of the good tools to do so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, exactly, and we have really good positive feedback about that because that's really saving a lot of time and that's really helpful. But there were still some pain points from what we heard. There were some issues with these keywords because sometimes you would appear on lots of low volume terms, or some of the keywords you appear on, you don't have full control of them. Sometimes they are not as precise and as relevant as you wish them to be. So that's why we also came up with another way to scale besides these discovery campaigns and from Apple and all the search terms automation. We created a new feature that we released, by the way, last week. So that's really new, smart bidding, and this new feature are really brand new features for you to use. And this is exact match experiments. So Benoit, can you share a few words about that new one?
I guess I can, because I'm the one behind this new feature. So I hope I will make a good job explaining them. The idea is that, as you said, like Apple Discovery are a good tool. I don't want to take anything out of Apple regular Discovery. It's an amazing tool that you should use, but it doesn't cover all your bases. It will have a blind spot. As you said, the blind spot is that for low volume terms, the search term will not be disclosed. So you might have a discovery campaign that is running and has good performance, but when you want to see the search term that you appeared on, well, you can't, because if you didn't reach 10 impressions on a given day, you won't know on which search term you appeared. The other pitfall is also that while they have like many words, you appear on many words, you're not going to appear on all of them. And this is where we had this itch of using Atlas AI. We've built this recommendation engine based on 4 million keywords. So we have a model that for a given app is able to find relevant keywords. So we wanted to do this. Actually, in the beginning, we were doing this manually. What we would do is like, for a given app, you can generate 1,000 keywords, and you can just, what we would call maybe sometimes a probing campaign. You can just create a campaign where you bid on all of those keywords, maybe at a lower bid than usual, just to check, and you will see which ones are performing well. A lot of those might be low performers, but a lot of those will also be good. So the point is that you can't know without having tested them, and this is where we were just creating these campaigns, and to see if they were performing well. This is what we now have in the tool. We now have a process that is able to directly find words for you and start bidding on them. We also added, as we can see here, the dimension of automation. Is that if you do appear one of the words we suggested is not performing as well as we hope that it would, we can pause it directly, so that we are sure that we're not going to waste the spend on words that are not as good. We can pause them, and then we can just keep most of the spend to test basically new keywords.
Yeah, exactly. And what's extremely powerful with that feature is it's really personalized to each app in each country. So if you have several apps, your list will always be different. If you have one app in different countries and different languages, each campaign you generate will always be different in each of these countries. And that's really an easy way to find tons of relevant recommendations in just a few clicks, all with exact match settings. So as you can see here, another thing to add is that we automatically remove the keywords that are already running in that country. So we make sure you're not bidding against yourself and targeting the same keywords in different campaigns in one country. And then once those keywords are found, you can simply download them, copy, or simply launch the experiments. And once it's here, you can still pause the campaign if you want first to quickly review, exclude some keywords, just pause it and nothing will happen while you do the filtering, but all the keywords will be there. And then maybe the next step would be also a question for you, but like, what would you recommend once this campaign is running? What should users do after they've created it?
Well, I think that's kind of where it goes to kind of wrap up everything that was said, is that once you have this is a campaign like the others, and you can plug whatever other tools that you have at your disposition. So maybe you would want to have a smart bidding system that you plug on it. So these keywords will all have the same bid to start with, but if you plug a smart bidding system onto it, and you say that the target CPA should be €1, well, the bid will be adjusted so that it's €1. If you actually want to keep this as is, and then you have your other performance campaigns, which is what actually we advocate for, maybe you want to have an automation that transfers those keywords that are good to another campaign. If you want to just be notified when a certain amount of words has reached like 20 tabs, you can create a rule that does that. So the point is really that you can tie all of this together as a completely hands-free experience. Maybe something to add as the last point on this exact match discovery campaign is that this feature is designed in part to launch new countries. This can be sometimes a pain when you have a new market that you want to launch Apple Ads on. Well, this can be the first step. You open a new countries, you can just run an exact match discovery experiment. You will have many keywords you start bidding on, and then as I said, you can just start plugging in left and right different type of automation until at some point, especially once you start plugging the MMP and doing the MMP automation we mentioned, you will have something that is ROAS positive, completely hands-free, and that is scalable, because you can already do that without this exact match discovery. You can have something that runs, but if you want to be scalable and add new countries in the future, this is the kind of feature that you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks a lot for these insights. I see we have 10 minutes left, so I guess that's time now to get some questions. If you have any, you can head to the questions tab, and we can answer a few of them. But just to wrap up, so as Benoit also explained, today we wanted to show you how to create new rules, either custom or with some presets. You can tweak them and use either search ads metrics, Apple Ads metrics, or MMP metrics. You can use smart bidding rules, and you can scale with exact match campaigns or search terms automations. So if you really find and use all these tools, these are really ways to help you, we hope, to automate your campaigns. So yeah, I guess let's
have a look
start.
at.
Let's have a look at the chat.
I see that we have one from Chris regarding the smart bidding. So will the new CPA smart bidding rules bid up on keywords if the current average CPA is below the applied target CPA? Yes, it will, but there is a catch, and important one. It will not increase bid if you already have 100% of share of voice, which can be, as I mentioned earlier, a common mistake. If you already have the full share of voice, you don't need to increase your bid. You're only at the risk of paying more expensive installs, but the same total amount. So yes, smart bidding can be used both as a way to control. If your CPA is too high, you can set it and it will be lower now, and that's it. But it can also be a way to scale. If you already have the words, let's say you have an exact match, exact discovery experiment, so you have many words, but you're not finding the right bid to get more installs. Well, yeah, you can set a target CPA higher than your current one, and we will adjust the bids so that you reach this target CPA as long as you can reach it, because if you do have already 100% share of voice on all of those keywords, well, it's impossible to go beyond that.
Another question here from Melina. I see there was already Luca from AppTweak that answered. But yeah, basically all rules running with MMP events. These are all the custom rules. You can simply select any in-app events and choosing some aggregations, some cohort days, and this should work with revenue tracking events indeed. But this is for custom rules and presets. We don't support yet revenue events for the new smart bidding feature. That's something we want to support later on. Here I see a new question from Max asking us if we have any tips or documents and links to know how to discover new keywords with high volume that are not currently utilizing. So I think for that one, it's really linked to the last features we presented. So really using the exact match discovery campaigns. If you really launch a new campaign for your app in a given country, it will automatically be filled with relevant keywords. It's true that some will have a higher volume than others, but you should just target all of them and based on the results starting to optimize and change bids, and you will see then how the volume plays a role. So that's
maybe
sorry
to add on this. Here, as we mentioned, we are focusing on automation. So we were bringing like more to the automation side of the answer. If we want to have the broader answer, well, we are AppTweak. We have keyword pickers. We have many keywords that can be suggested in those keyword pickers. So I would also advise having a look at the pickers directly to find the good keywords. But in the end, as we said, like the exact match discovery that we created uses keywords pulled from Atlas AI. So the keywords that you have here in Atlas AI should be available in exact match discovery. To address also the question about like tips, links, and documents, I think we have Georgia from marketing here in this call, so maybe she will be able to send some content. But we have a lot of content about all of this, so I'm sure if you can't find it by yourself, we will have ways to bring you this kind of content that you can then have a look.
Yeah, exactly. To add up a bit more on that, so when I said the pickers, that's all the keyword suggestions panel that we provide here, and this is always visible at the ad group level. When you enter one ad group, you can either check all your keywords coming from ASO. So if you already have some keyword list running in a given country, you can check them here. You can use keywords from our metadata or using all the AI tool to find new keywords here based on different lexical fields. So that's, yeah, this is not the scope of this office hour. That's why we won't see more about that. But actually, if you're interested, we did another webinar some time ago that goes about how to just run Apple Ads campaigns, how to find new keywords, and this is really covered in that other webinar. So we can maybe also share the link of that one. Checking if you guys have any other questions.
Maybe just another one that I see. It's actually not a question, it was regarding MMPs. Like I just want to take this opportunity to mention that when we talk about MMP for now, we're talking about adjust not Fryer, but right around the corner, we're gonna be supporting branch and Singular. So for those in the audience that might be using these MMPs, soon you will be able to run automation rules based on branch events or Singular events.
Yeah, I think we discussed everything we wanted to write, Benoit. Like we shared a few tips. I hope this was helpful. And yeah, there'll be also another webinar like next week. I think maybe we can do some teasing since we're reaching the end of this call. And this will be about seasonality. So the goal is to help you understand how you can turn seasonal events into growth with ESO and Apple Ads. This will be live next week. So yeah, we'll share that on social media if you're interested. And again, if you have any other questions in the future, if you have any feedback about the tool, don't hesitate to contact us. We really want to.
There's just one that just popped, and will still within time I can answer very quickly to Chris. What AppTweak presets would you recommend avoiding if you're using smart bidding? Well, basically anything that would update the bid, you should avoid. Smart bidding will do the bidding for you. So any automation that is just monitoring is fine. Any automation that adds keyword or removes keyword is fine, but no automation that updates the bid. We don't physically prevent you from doing so. Like you can do so, but you would have two systems concurrently updating the bids, which is probably not what you want to be doing. So yeah, just avoid the ones that update the CPA, but monitoring is completely fine.
Yeah, good points.
But I think that was the last one. So yeah.
Yeah, that was it. We managed to finish on time despite the technical issues. Really sorry again about that, but yeah, in the end it worked out. We hope it was useful for everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Have something to take home from this webinar, and see you in the next one.